I'm here in the Jane-Finch Palisades Cineplex screening room for an all-candidates debate. But if you can see behind me, only two of the representatives are here out of the four to discuss their platform. And it's not the Liberals and it's not the Conservatives. It's the Green Party and the NDP. And they're having an intimate discussion about their platform and the future of Canada and the York West community. I'm with Robert Wraith, one of the coordinators for today's open debate with the candidates. How are you today?
Well, thanks.
And can you tell us your role and your position?
Hey, well, I'm with the NCBO, the Network of Community-Based Organizations, and we meet, we're all parts of our own community-based organizations, and we meet to put on events like this, organize, try to network with as many people as possible, trying to put out the word about different community events that we're putting on.
So what was the need for today's event?
Well, we thought that it would be great to get the candidates out to one of the largest, the most densely populated places in Jane-Finch, which is the Palisades buildings that we're in right now, and just let some people come down. And what we're doing right now is just discussing the issues that affect the members of the community.
Now, I know this is a different type of turnout than you'd expected. What do you think are some of the barriers that existed for a more better turnout?
Well, I think that many members of the community have just lost faith in candidates, whether they're winning or whether they're just running to win, and their ability to make any change. We've heard some of the residents already say, "Okay, we're done talking," and it seems like year after year, our voter turnout's down, sort of voter confidence in anything positive being changed is way down. So it's sort of reflected in the numbers that we have here today.
Now, we only have two out of the four that were invited. What's your take on the people that are here and the people that aren't?
Well, I'm going to sort of stay as partisan as possible, but it's great that the candidates are here, and I think that it will give them a better sense of the community that they want to lead. The candidates couldn't make it. I'm going to say no comment.
I'm with Greg, who works in the community doing a local theater group, and he just got in to see a little bit of the candidates' debate. How are you today?
Good. Yes.
So what you did see or hear so far, what do you think of the representation that's here today and the representation that's not here today?
Well, again, this had you're only getting 10-15 people in one room. Conservatives and Liberals didn't decide to show up, which is fair enough. I think it shows you who does care about the community the most within the parties, but we're still going around in circles, not really talking about anything that's going to provide actual change for the youth, particularly around the policing issue. They're talking about putting more police or trying to reform the policing, and there doesn't seem to be the understanding that this community is as scared of police as they are of guns, and something drastically needs to be done there.
So No Man's Land is right here in the Jane-Finch area, and they use their theater to address some of these issues of oppression. What would your theater group say if they were here right now?
Well, most of them would be asleep. It wouldn't really be reaching out to them. These policies are either above their head or there's no belief either in the system to change it. So what we're looking for from a politician would be somebody who come in and just say, I'm going to listen to you guys, or show some knowledge of the youth. I mean, I think you've got some guys with generally good principles here. It's just the system that they're in is not going to work. And if you had something that does appeal more to youth, then maybe you're going to get more youth there. Until that happens, we're not going to reach out to our youth in this community at all. We're going to continue to alienate them, and we're going to continue to have the bad decisions that have afflicted this community for the last 30-40 years.
No Man's Land is also a grassroots initiative right here, and so what would it mean if No Man's Land ever did see federal money? What kind of change could the federal government see?
What kind of change could if No Man's Land got more money? Well, if they had control of that money, so if there wasn't the fundraising jurisdictions with that. So once you get the money, you have to do this kind of paperwork, that kind of paperwork. If they were genuinely trusted with that money from the government, and the government said, we trust you guys, we trust you as a community to know what's best, then big change is going to happen. If we're just going to get the same old handouts with the same old restrictions to our funding and the same old bureaucracy, we're just going to stifle all the good ideas and all the talent that there is in this community. So for me, if the government, which I know Stephen Harper's not talking about at the moment, could give more funding to arts education, more funding to youth workers, more funding to all these people that are on the streets making a difference every day, and actually pay people from the community to do those jobs, then we would see a change. But the issues of trust. You have to trust us with that money.
And what would you say on election day?
Personally, hand on my heart, I cannot tell young people to vote in this system. And I'd like to be able to, but I can't. I would be lying to them. And I think it's disgraceful that we're patronising our youth and telling them to put an X by a piece of paper, and that's their right, and that's their privilege, and that's their democracy they should be proud of. It's an absolute disgrace.
So can I get your name and the party you're with?
I'm Nick Capra, and I'm with the Green Party of Canada.
Okay, we're going to try to make this go fast. So as a federal representative or candidate, can we get your insight on, we're talking a lot about poverty. Let's break down the units of poverty. Let's talk about childcare.
Childcare, well, the childcare policy that the Liberals had a couple years ago that almost came to Canada is what the Green Party wants to definitely implement. It will take some work, and we know that, but we believe that all Canadians want universal childcare, and we are definitely committed to working to bring it back. Yeah.
Social housing is crippled in the York West community, and the only dollars we're getting are city dollars. What would the federal commitment be?
We have a couple of different things that we're doing with the cities. We are prepared to give them 1% of the GST, which is equivalent to about $6 billion a year. Plus, we have 6 super funds, we call them, that are directed to very specific areas, and each of those have $500 million directed to each of them, and one of them is public housing. And the other is water and sewage treatment, because that is definitely another area that needs to be taken care of. Also, toxic areas. There's a lot of areas that we can't build in the city because the soil is so toxic. So there's several areas. Recreation and culture facilities, that's another area. And the other is pedestrian and cycling accessibility. Mm-hmm.
Going green.
Yeah.
So how about the minimum wage $10 campaign and job security? Yeah,
that would be federal. And we would make it right across the country, because right now there's provinces who have different minimum wages. We would mandate a $10 an hour minimum wage. But that's only the beginning, because, if you just rely on that, you're going to have a lot of working poor. So you have to look at other things that you can be doing. And what the Green Party is prepared to do is, number one, a really important thing is to increase the guaranteed income supplement to seniors to up to 25%. That is huge. The other thing is to, he got me going. One big thing we want to do is to actually our long-term plans for poverty. Taxes. Yes. To get rid of taxes to anyone making $20,000 or less, which is the poverty line right now in the city of Toronto. So wipe out taxes, because we cannot believe that people making $20,000 an hour are still paying federal taxes. But our long-term goals are to actually slowly merge our social infrastructure, because we believe there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of money being spent, but it's not actually making it to the people that they're trying to serve. So what we talk about is a guaranteed living income, and it's been talked about, and if you have about an hour, I can explain to you about it. But it's basically a merger of what we're doing right now, so that there is less waste and more money is actually getting into the hands of the people who are actually that we're trying to serve. Yeah.
Big one, big one. Policing and Harper's proposal with 14 years and possibilities of life sentencing.
Yeah, ridiculous, because I'm not sure what he's going to do in the next election if he's going to make it 12-year-olds, because that's that kind of game we've played for a long time, and it's just gotten to 14-year-olds now, so that's why I was saying maybe it'll be 12-year-olds in the next election, I'm not sure. But no, our philosophy is actually to tackle the problem before it becomes a problem. We know we have immediate needs, and people who commit violent crime, we do believe should be incarcerated because, we can't have people treating people that way. And for me personally, tackling poverty at the bottom end is how you get to that. But our entire philosophy is really to provide $20,000 up front, rather than spending $80,000 and putting somebody in jail and creating a hardened criminal. So,
okay, so you threw out some really crazy stats earlier, the report card. Maybe our Jane-Finch audience doesn't know about some of the stats you threw out today at the debate. Can you share some of them?
Well, I'll give you a little bit of the history first, because young people may not remember this, but back in 1989, all of our federal leaders stood up in the House of Commons and declared that child poverty shouldn't be in this rich country. And they said by the year 2000 that they would wipe out child poverty. So the UN did come out with a report, like a report card on Canada, and basically in 2000 the numbers went like this. Child poverty up 39%. So instead of 1 in 7 children living in poverty, it is now 1 in 5, and this is the year 2000. So the numbers have increased even since then. Visits to food banks up 90%. Post-secondary education, which, we were talking about how post-secondary education or education in general is supposed to be the biggest tool that we have to get children out of poverty, actually went up by 123%. This is through the biggest boom that this country has ever seen, and that's the other thing that's crazy about it. But the most troubling statistic is that social assistance actually went down 19%. So while all these numbers were going up,
social assistance, you mean
in general,
support?
Support to for the people that are living in poverty, actually went down. So this was partially a provincial through the Harris days. Started with the Bob Rae days, the NDP days, then into the Harris days, and then also through the Liberal federal days. So provincially and federally, all three of those parties failed us when it comes to poverty.
Yeah, I totally got slammed by Mike Harris days. To wrap it up, any words to our Jane-Finch audience?
Please inform yourself. Do whatever you can to find out the policies of all the parties. And I'm not trying to be partisan here, but go to the Conservative site, go to the Liberal site, go to the NDP site, definitely go to the Green Party site. I'm sure you'll be pleasantly surprised the way I was. I was born and raised in this community. I know you know that. And sorry, just a little fly here. And my entire life, nothing has changed here, and that's really why I'm here. And I remember as a kid. My friends never wanted to visit me because they were afraid to get off the bus at Jane-Finch, and my niece is the same thing is happening to my niece right now. So I want you to have some hope, because you know what? Without hope, we have nothing. So educate yourself and go out and vote. That's the most important thing, because we do have one of the lowest voter turnouts, and that's got to change. So for our voices to be heard, we have to actually go out and vote.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
What is your name and the party you're representing?
My name is Julio Manfrini, or Julio Manfrini. I have 2 Spanish and Italian heritage, and the party is the NDP.
So we're talking a lot about poverty. So we're going to break up poverty into the units of poverty. So what's your take on childcare?
Well, the party is proposing to bring childcare to the community, investing $50 billion in a number of programs. One of them is childcare. So I personally believe, and the party believe, and demonstrated many years to push for that we need to create enough childcare here, system similar to Quebec. So we had the chance to allow the parents, particularly immigrant parents, that are very hard to get proper jobs and working in 2 jobs or maybe 3, to have education for the child and eliminate the problem that come after when they are teenagers and later on in life, eliminated from the beginning of life.
Housing only receives municipal dollars, just city dollars. What is the federal commitment to housing, social housing?
Well, part of the program is also to housing. If you go to the NDP.ca, www.ndp.ca, you will have the program. But to me, basically, you know what happened with housing. We have Ontario housing, now is Toronto housing. What the Ontario government did, dump it to the municipality and tied up financially the municipality because they cannot afford to current the housing. They didn't give money, they give the housing and the responsibility. So we need to change that. We are investing 1 cent of the GST, the current GST in the municipal levels, and we are going to work, particular myself in this particular area, to try to organize the community to demand more for this particular area.
So the $10 minimum wage campaign, job sustainability.
Well, you know, the NDP and the provincial level, Cherry Dinovo was the champion for that. We support that. I guess we need to increase it to $12 now because the inflation. But you know, politicians are against that in provincial level, but they vote themselves a $40,000 increase. Means many people will be happy if you get a $40,000 increase in one shot. But this is a vision that we have different than the conservative of the liberal, in the sense that we want to invest in people. Maybe it will take some time to accommodate the ship, but if they put the direction properly for people, we are going to change the community.
I didn't ask this to the other candidate, but you being a fairly newcomer to this country, how would you value newcomers and their work experience back home? So let's take off the doctors out of the cabs.
Well, I will clarify, I am not a newcomer to this country. I am a newcomer to politics. I've been 30 years in the country, but I come and go. I live in Kuwait for many years. I live in Europe, in Italy for a couple of years, and come and go. But to me, I'm still an immigrant. My accent give me away. Means I look the part, but when I open my mouth, half of the people don't understand me. So I need to speak slowly and nice. So what I have, for instance, doctors in particular, I'm a firm believer that the immigration system, I've been working in a campaign, it's called Status Now, have 3 parts of the fight that we have was non-documented worker, people living here in Canada and having a house, everything, to give the landed immigrant, not deport them. The family reunification, try to bring the family to here, even though some people say, well, they are already too many, don't let them to come up. Sorry for that, but we have to bring the people. And third is foreign credential recognition. And doctor is one of the elements there. We are short of doctors, and we have doctors for other countries driving taxis. When we had a discussion with the other candidate, we had the problems that they say, well, we need to influence the provincial level and municipal level. I think we need to change that. Last year, there was only 35 places for new doctors from immigrant level. So give me a break, 35 doctors, we need more than that. So one of the proposals that we want to do, particularly myself, inside of my party and then in the parliament, is to bring a national level training for foreign people that do the training, get the credential, and can work in all the provinces.
This is a big one, especially for our community, policing, but more so Stephen Harper's proposal, 14-year-olds possibly doing life sentencing. Your take?
Okay. Well, you know, Harper is a copy of Bush. You know, I always say what happened in the U.S. a couple of years later happened here. That was what happened with Harper, okay? Bush was there and he came. Well, he will disappear very soon too. But the mentality of just bringing military force, brutal force to do these things is not worth it. You know, on the west side of the riding, we have Councillor Marmoliti calling for the military to come to here in the place. This is insulting for the people here. We have problems, but the problem is related to poverty and opportunities. And if we reverse that part, and just to remind the people, that was my party that cut all the programs about 10 years ago, 8 years ago, before the liberal that promised to reverse it, but they didn't do anything. So we had the same concept. So we need to start working with the kids, and yes, we need to have some policing to stabilize the situation, because otherwise it will be a disaster for many places. People feel insecure and create more problems. but we need to work on the social part of the equation, that is bringing more education for the kids, more facility for sport and recreation, and give a decent job for the people living in the area. One of my personal things I haven't yet discussed it with my party leader, and I will forcefully voice that inside the party, is that instead of bringing more policemen here to this area, use what the concept that we use in South America and many countries, and I know for the different cultural immigration here will work to bring people from the communities, especially maybe mothers or elderly people that had experience and the time, to pay them the money, $12, $20 an hour, no $80 for a policeman, but 4 of them for every policeman, and start working in organizing the different neighborhoods, small blocks to blocks, and bring the kids to that situation. I don't believe anybody wake up or born and say, I'm going to be a criminal. I believe it's a process that leads to that situation.
So in closing, is there any comments you can share with the Jane-Finch audience?
Yes, I will. Yes, what I would like to do for the Jane-Finch area is to start thinking that unless we get a political participation in the process, we won't resolve the problem. We need to change the politicians that don't work. Even if I'm elected, if I don't work, kick me out. And we need to start organizing the community and participate. I hear when I knock doors that people complain about many issues, but at the end of the day, the same person is elected, so it's not much. In my mind, not much. If you are unhappy, change the member of parliament that you have here in Finch and Jane. Okay, you're West in particular, okay? Thank you.
All right, so that was 2 out of the 4 candidates. Judy Scrow canceled earlier this afternoon and sent her apologies. Very typical. This did happen at the last elections. And Kevin Nguyen is MIA. I believe the Mirror and the Star were both trying to contact him, and nobody's been able to reach him. So that's your West election report for you. Reporting on the community I live in and work with, I'm Butterfly. Peace.